Hello, welcome to Reality Plus. My name is Samuel, and we're going to continue with solving filtered questions from GCSE. Just like we have in the last video, we solved a lot of questions, and today we are still going to continue with that. We have 5 questions here. Just like I've always said, filtered questions are questions you can only see in past papers, and they carry at least 4 marks. So some of them 5 marks. We even have some exceptional ones that we have 6 marks. And today we are going to go through 5 of those questions. All right, this is Edexcel Foundation. Yeah, we have every other exam body and the level. If you check our video, you see them there as well. But this one in particular is Edexcel, and all the questions I'm going to solve today is Edexcel Foundation. All right, so let's start from this. Shahid, he's going to use this instruction to make a fizzy drink. Mix 5 parts of orange juice with 2 parts of lemonade. So Shahid thinks that he has 300 milliliter of orange juice and 200 milliliter of lemonade. If Shahid is correct, what is the greatest amount of fizzy drink he can make? So let's see. We have 2 parts. We have orange juice, and then we have lemonade. So for orange juice, he uses 5 parts. And whenever he uses 5 parts of orange juice, he uses 2 parts of lemonade. All right. So looking at it now, initially he had 300 milliliter of orange juice, then 200 milliliter of lemonade. So this is 300 milliliter. Let me just put that here of orange juice, and then 200 of lemonade. So we want to get the greatest amount. So I'm going to try as uh, try one of the methods that I have, which is for me to see, okay, what if I use the entire of lemonade? That is, if I use all of the lemonade. So if I use all of the lemonade, whatever amount I use of lemonade, it should represent 2 parts. And then I have 5 of such parts in orange juice. So if I decide to use the entire 200 milliliter of lemonade, that means this is going to be 2 parts, saying that if 200 milliliter is 2 parts, then 1 part should just be 200 divided by 2. That's 100 milliliter. Then I will be needing 5 parts of orange juice. So that means for orange juice, I'm going to need 5 parts. If 1 part is 100 milliliter, that means I'm going to be needing 5 times 100 milliliter, which is 500 milliliters of orange juice. So the right proportion is going to be 500 milliliter of orange juice and 200 milliliter of lemonade. However, looking at it, I only have 300 milliliter of orange juice. So that means I am not able to use the entire of lemonade. Then let me check again. What if I decide to use the entire of orange juice? That is, I use all of the 300 milliliters of orange juice. That means that 300 milliliters of orange juice is going to be equivalent to 5 parts this time. So this is not usable, so I cancel it out. 300 milliliter is going to be 5 parts, then I can get 1 part. All right, 1 part, and that is going to be divide 300 by 5. That's going to be 60 milliliters. So that means 1 part of orange juice, or 1 part based on me using 300 milliliters of orange juice, is going to be 60 milliliters. So let me check how much of lemonade am I going to need. That means I'm going to need 2 parts of lemonade, which is 2 times 100, times 60 now, is going to be 120 milliliters. So don't forget what I did was, okay, I tried firstly to use the entire of lemonade, but I discovered that if I use all of the 200 milliliter of lemonade based on the proportion of mixture, I would need 500 milliliter of orange juice, but I don't have that. So I tried to use 300 milliliters of orange juice that I have, and then from there I discovered that to mix that 300 milliliter of orange juice, I'm going to need 120 milliliter of lemonade. If I'm mixing both of them together, that will give me the right proportion, and I'm going to have my fizzy drink. So that means to get the maximum amount of fizzy drink, I'm going to need 300 milliliters of orange juice, and I'm going to need 120 milliliters of lemonade. So this shows that the greatest amount of fizzy drink that I'm going to have now is going to be the addition of these two. That is 300 milliliter of orange juice and then 120 milliliter of lemonade to give me 420 milliliters for the fizzy drink. So the answer for question A, which is 3 marks, is going to be 420 milliliters. All right, let's see the second one. Shahid has 300 milliliter of orange juice, but he only has 160 milliliter of lemon. Does this affect the greatest amount of fizzy drink he can make? Give a reason for your answer. So I'm going to say that clearly this is not going to affect it. Why? Now let's see. What we actually used in making the fizzy drink was 300 milliliter of orange juice, which he has, and then we used 120 milliliter of lemonade. We didn't even use up to 160 milliliters. We used 120 milliliters of lemonade. That means even if the amount of lemonade was not 200 anymore, it's not 200 anymore, if it's now 160 milliliters, since what we need is just 120, that means that it doesn't affect our answer. So my answer to this question B is going to be no, because we only need 120 milliliters of lemonade and it will be enough. So that's going to be the answer to that. All right, let's see the next question. This question is a 5 marks question, so I want us to pay attention to it. It says a bonus of 2,100 pounds is shared by 100 people who work for a company. 40% of the bonus is shared equally between 3 managers. The rest of the bonus is shared equally between 7 salesmen. One of the salesmen says, if the bonus is shared equally between all 10 people, I will get 25% more money. Is the salesman correct? You must show how you got your answer. So let us see. For us to validate the credibility of the statement made by the salesman, because the salesman says that if the bonus is shared equally, if it is not like the managers got a percentage, then the salesman got a percentage. If it was shared equally, that he is going to have 25% more money. So what we need to do is let's see how much does the salesman, one salesman, how much is he going to get if we follow the way it was shared? And then how much is he going to get if it was shared equally? Then we check if it's going to be 25% more money truly. So that means 60% was shared among salesmen. So let's see, one salesman is supposed to have the amount shared by salesmen, which is 60% of this, divided by 7 of them. So one salesman is supposed to have that. So it is shared equally among 7 people. So if we check what is 60% of 2,100, so 60% of 2,100, that should be 1,260. Then you can divide that by 7. So one salesman ordinarily should have 180 pound. One salesman ordinarily should have 180 pound. Now let's see if it was shared equally. If it was shared equally, then one salesman should have the 2,100 shared among 10 people, and that will be 210. So it is left for us to see 210 and 180. What's the percentage change in 210 and 180? So we have to use this formula. Percentage change is going to be equal to change divided by original, or the actual one, multiplied by 100%. So we have our change. That will be the difference in them. That's 210 minus 180, which gives 30, divided by the original amount, multiplied by 100%. So if you do this, you have 30 goes here one time, here it goes 6 times, that's 100 divided by 6. And if you do this, it will never be 25%, because this normally should give us around 1 in 40, 16.666, approximately this. Yeah. So it is never 25%. So that means the salesman is not correct. So is the salesman correct? Your answer will be no. The salesman is not correct. Having shown all of these workings, it is important to put that answer so that you can have your full mark. So having shown all of this working, no, the salesman is not correct. You can go ahead to say that the salesman would have gotten 16.66, or say approximately 16.6667% more money. Right? With that, you're going to have your 5 marks. So let's see number 19. Number 19. A farmer has a field. So let's see how many marks for this. 5 marks as well. A farmer has a field in the shape of a semicircle. So this particular question surely must have been from a calculator paper. Yeah. it must have been from a calculator paper, because you can see decimal, you can see that you have to use pi. So you have to have your calculator with you to be able to do this. So let's see. A farmer has a field in the shape of a semicircle of diameter 50 meters. The farmer asks Jim to build a fence around the edge of the field. Jim tells him how much it will cost. He says the total cost is £29.86 per meter of fence plus 180 for each day's work. Jim takes 3 days to build the fence. So work out the total cost. So let's see. The first thing is for us to find the perimeter of the shape. So how long should the fence be? That's the perimeter of the shape. The perimeter of the shape includes this curved part, which is actually the circumference of a semicircle, as well it includes this diameter. So the perimeter in this sense, normally the formula for the circumference of a circle is pi d. Now that we have a semicircle, it's going to be pi d over 2. That's for the curved side. Then you also add the diameter with it to make it a complete perimeter. So you have pi 50 over 2 plus 50. So if you take your calculator and then you put this in it, you have 50 pi divided by 2 equals, then plus 50 equals 128.5398. So I'm going to use 4 decimal places. In fact, if possible, just leave the whole length on the screen of your calculator. So you won't have to approximate. But for the sake of writing it down, I'm just going to put 128.5398 meters. So that should be the length of the fence. So now to calculate the cost is going to be £29.86 multiplied by the length of the fence. So if you have the answer on your calculator not cleared off, so just do multiplied by that answer. Just do it multiplied by, right? So that's multiplied by £29.86 equals. So then don't forget you have to add 3 days work. That's 180 times 3. So you can do plus, make sure you put it in a bracket, 180 times 3 equals. So this is going to give you, so for money, anything that deals with money puts it in 2 decimal places. That is £4,378.20. So that will be the cost, the total cost of building the fence. So you have your 5 marks with that. All right. So let's move. The next question says Raya buys a van for 8,500 plus VAT at 20%. Raya pays a deposit for the van. She then pays the rest of the cost in 12 equal payments of £531.25 each month. Okay, find the ratio of the deposit Raya pays to the total of the 12 equal payments. So we need to know what the deposit is. So before that, let's start with it. Let's start with the installment pay. The total paid in the installment paid is going to be 531.25 multiplied by 12. So we want to know how much was paid on installment. So you have 531.25 each month, and we have 12 equal payments. So that will be the total amount paid on installment will be 531.25 times 12. So if you punch that out, you have this times 12, and that is £6,375. So this is how much was paid on installments. However, look at this. They said the van is 8,500 plus VAT. So we need to add 20% VAT to it. The price of the van is 8,500. However, we need to add 20%. So the cost price, or let's say the total cost price of the van is going to be the amount for the van plus the VAT. The VAT is always 20% of this. So if we do this, we have 20% of 8,500. That's 1,007. Then you add it to 8,500. That is £10,200. This means that the deposit that was made will be the total cost minus the installment pay, because it was after the deposit was made that the installment was shared over 12 months. All right, so that means the amount that was paid in installment will be 10,200 minus 6,325, and that will be 3,825. So let's come to the ratio now. The ratio says that you should find the ratio of the deposit. So ratio required will be the ratio of the deposit to that of the installment pay, 375. So if you look at this and you do the division, what I would say is just try and see what are the numbers that can divide both of them. So what can divide 3,825 and can also divide 6,375. So how we advise that we divide by 25, we are trying to put it in simplest form. So if you divide this by 25, by 25 here, you should have 153. And then if you divide the second one by 25, 6,375, you can use your calculator, right? It gives us 255. So let's see what number can divide 153 and at the same time divide 255. I would say we should use 3. Yeah, I think 3 can divide it. If you divide this by 3, you have 51. If you divide this by 3, you have 85. All right. And looking at this, we can divide by 17. Yes, we can divide by 17. 51 divided by 17 is 3, while 85 divided by 17 is 5. So in simplest form, the ratio will be 3 to 5, and that will be your answer. All right. So the last question for today, it says that work out the volume of the prism. Work out the volume of the prism. One very good thing about prism is that it has what we call cross-sectional shape. If you look at it, there is a shape that is occurring at both sides. In this particular one, it is a right-angled triangle. That is the cross-sectional shape, because the formula to find the volume of every prism is cross-sectional area, that is the area of the cross-sectional shape, cross-sectional area multiplied by the height. The height is talking about how far apart are the shapes. So looking at this, we will need to find the area of this triangle. However, to find the area of this triangle, it would have been half multiplied by base multiplied by height. But we don't have the base. So we need to find the base by using Pythagoras. So using Pythagoras, you have Pythagoras theorem states that in every right angle triangle, the square of the hypotenuse side is equal to the sum of the square of the other two sides. So you have the hypotenuse side squared is equal to sum of the square of the other two sides. So this means that your a squared is going to be 8.4 squared minus 7.2 squared. And then your a is going to be square root of 8.4 squared minus 7.2 squared. So if you do that with your calculator, so you have square root of 8.4 squared minus 7.2 squared. That gives us 4.3267. That's approximately. So we can put that there. So all we need to do now for the cross-sectional area will be half multiplied by the base multiplied by the height of the triangle. Also multiplied by how far apart they are, which is 18. That will give us the volume of the of the prism. So you have half multiplied by 4.3267 multiplied by 7.2 multiplied by 18. And that's going to give us 280.37016. And this, we have to approximate it to 3 significant figures. That will be 280 to 3 significant figures, and that will be centimeter cubed. All right, so we've come to the end of today's session of past questions. Don't forget to like, subscribe our video so that you can get more updates when we post new videos. And don't forget to look forward to every other thing that will be posted. We have topics from KS1 to KS4 And then we have past questions from different year, OCR, AQA, Edexcel, Foundation or higher. Till next time. See you. Bye.